the wonderful and talented, multi faceted master entertainer that he is, the man that never ceases to make me laugh and pretty much everybody he comes in contact with. But I could brag on him for a while, but Don's been doing some amazing work and really kind of been at the head of all of this sort of digital world of performing. And we can't wait for him to share what he has to say to you today. Please welcome Don White.
Hello. Hey, this is the way you applaud on Zoom like that. There you go. I can see you. Nice job. All right. So I have a lot to say. Doesn't mean that I know anything. I'm just gonna say it. It's up to you to decide the value of it. But I made a bunch of notes and all of that here. So I'm gonna start right in because we want to get this to the point where we can ask questions, and also I think it's important in these forums to share. So even if something what wasn't brought up in this discussion, if you have something that you think is interesting, that's one of the great things about this forum and this thing that we're doing here, getting together, is that new ideas come into our world and then we can apply them, and you don't have to wait till you're behind the curve on it. So just keep that in mind when we get to the questions part. It doesn't have to be a question. You could just offer something that you think is interesting, that somebody's doing that's cool, or whatever, if we didn't touch on it. All right. So those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Don White, and in order for this to make sense as we get along in it, I want to give you just a brief synopsis of who I am and how I got to be somebody who can make a living at music, right? So I'm an unlikely candidate. So let me just start. So when I started performing in the late '80s, I had two jobs, 2 day jobs, and 2 children, and a wife that said I will support this. I will support you doing this, being gone, me staying home and shoveling while you're gone. But as soon as you see a nickel, as soon as you see a dollar, you need to get that dollar and bring it here and put it on this kitchen table right here, right? So that was the deal. She would support it as long as I kept in mind that it's a business, and that as soon as there's money in it, I need to bring that money home, right? So basically she would say to me, you can go, but you cannot come home broke. So that has been the way that I have approached it from the beginning. So that's important to know at the beginning here, so that when the world flips upside down, I sort of apply, I was already in that mindset. So at the beginning of it all, there was a lot of competition. I live here in Boston, and there was a lot of people who are great performers and singers and all of that. And I was working 2 jobs. I couldn't be good at everything. So I thought, do I want to be the good guitar player? Do I want to put all my energy into that? And I just stepped back from it and thought, man, there's a lot of good guitar players. The Berklee School of Music here in Massachusetts is churning them out by the hundreds every year. And I looked at them, and a lot of them aren't making any money. There's a lot of competition, and it's hard to make money. So I thought, maybe if I can only get good at one thing, if I only have time to get good at one thing, maybe that's not it. Doesn't seem, there's a lot of competition there. So let me compete where there's the least competition. That was my thing, because I had to make money and bring it home so that she would continue to support the cause, right? So I decided that I would be an entertainer, a songwriter and a performer and an entertainer. And so, just again, briefly, this is a whole different seminar here, but just so you can get an idea of where I'm coming from, I decided that poets and storytellers and songwriters and comedians and orators and public speakers all suffer from the same disease. What is the disease? They all suffer under the delusion that they have something to say. That's the disease. And I couldn't understand why they were all insulated with each other. Why are only comedians hanging around with comedians, and poets with poets, and storytellers with, why isn't there more commingling here? Because we're all trying to do the same thing, connect with an audience, but everybody's bringing different skills to it. Why shouldn't I know all of these skills? So I spent a good hunk of the late '80s and early '90s becoming a student of other genres. Right, so would hang around in poetry readings, especially slam poetry, where they're free to do whatever they want. And then I got a job as a comedian, and I studied that and became a student of that. In the storytelling world, same thing. So I sort of processed all of that together and created something that that if people liked it, they kind of had to come to me for it. It was, I was competing where there was less competition. Although it was hard to describe what it was, once you figured out that you liked it, then I'm the person providing it. That's sort of a synopsis of it right there, right? So that's, who I am. The other thing I thought about, which is important to what we're going to discuss in a minute, is I thought that people who like songs, well-crafted songs, and beautiful music, music and songs, they should like me. The folk world should like me. I should present a show that they like. But people who don't like folk music and don't care about introspective songs or whatever, they should like me too, because I thought that there were more of them. Right? That the audience was bigger. That there was just, if I left my house today and I walked to Boston, which would take me a day, I would pass several thousand homes, and I'm pretty sure that hardly any of them would have, let's just pull somebody out of the sky, a Chris Smither album in it. We love Chris Smither. He's amazing, but we're in a bubble, right? Most people don't know who he is, right? Even though he's amazing. And you could say that about anyone, Dar Williams, anybody, right? The people that we love, more people don't know them than know them. So I thought, if somebody brings their brother or a boyfriend or somebody who's just coming to the show because they're being dragged to it, the show should be good for them. So if I can start winning them, I can survive, because, and this is really the last thing I'll say about this, because it'll apply later. If I'm playing in Boston, let's say, prior to this, I would be competing with whatever coffee houses were drivable to there, right? So who could drive there? And among the ones that were playing the same night, the Saturday night, which one of them had somebody who was funny, or what folk singer that was kind of like me? That was my competition, right? So if somebody fitting that description was playing in the next town over, then I would lose some of my people to that person. But a lot of my people that I've developed who don't know much about folk music, they wouldn't know who that person was who was playing there, so I could still, it was a survival skill, right? So I just wanted it to be a broad approach to it. So having said all of that, that's laying the platform for this. So now, in March of this year, I had probably the best year of my life in front of me. I mean, I've had a good 10 years, actually. I toured with Christine Lavin for almost 9 years. Played everywhere, worked every weekend. Fan base grew. I had a schedule laid out that had 3 storytelling festivals in it and all kinds of work. And then, like all of us, it just disappeared, right? And so I thought, all right, am I going to go back to swinging a hammer? Am I going back to the day job? Oh dear, not that. And so I decided that I would be the old guy who could figure this out the same way I was at the beginning. Where is my niche? Where is my place in this thing? So the first thing I did was, because I've been married to this amazing woman from federal housing here in Lynn who's no nonsense about money, the first thing I thought is, the first thing I have to do is make some money. Where is the money? Where's the easy money for me? And so I went, I figured, the first thing was tech. I'm not sure where you're all at. I mean, maybe your tech is fantastic, but I had to figure that out. I never played to a screen before. I didn't know anything about it. So I spent a week learning about that. And I saw that people could spend thousands of dollars on it, but where is the working man's place here? Well, how can I do it cheap and good? So I bought this thing right here. This is called a Blue Yeti. I'm sure you're familiar with it because you're all fantastic and well advanced in this world. But that was a $250 microphone with a gain on it plugged into my my computer, and it gave me the ability to reach out, right? So, and it was pretty good. It wasn't the best, but it was okay. My camera on my computer isn't bad, as you could see, so I could work within this framework. And the first place I thought there was money, and I would say this to all of you, every one of you here, was in my fan base. I see David Roth is here, and other people, have a lot of fans, but if you have even one fan, this is where the money was right away. As soon as I figured this out, I could make a week's pay right away. Before people were even knew what was happening, I was making some money. And so I got good at Zoom. I like Zoom because because it can be interactive even though we've got you all muted now. I figured out how to unmute selective people and have them be quiet so I could hear their laughter and have it be interactive, right? So I reached out to my fan base and I said, I will come and play for you. I'll play for you, offer me something, right? And they were tremendously generous and tremendously supportive, and it surprised me. So in my world, you know, at sort of a underneath the mid-level, I guess, on the ladder here, with my fan base, the way it played out financially was they seemed to be comfortable with $200 to $350 to offer me to play for like a virtual house concert. Okay, so there it was. Like I got 2 or 3 of those a week. Now I'm okay. Like now I can start thinking in the bigger picture. So that's the first thing I would say to you is where's the easy money? Get that, get it established, and see where you can go from there. As I'm doing this stuff, I'm learning. So at first I thought I'll just do the concert, but then I realized it's twofold from their position. There's 2 things that they're interested in. They could gather their friends together anyway, right? But they wouldn't. But I am the reason that they're going to do it. You know, so I'm motivating them to bring all their friends in from all around the country because this guy that we like is going to play for 45 minutes or an hour, and we'll all get together. So they could do it themselves, but they wouldn't probably. And because I convinced one of them to hire me. Now they did it. So now they have 30 people in this meeting that are all their friends. So I thought that would be it. But what I learned was what the really important thing, now that they have them together, is to extend the meeting after and to let them talk. So they get the concert and that brings everyone together, but it's almost like virtually I sit my guitar down and I sit on the couch like it was a house concert. And if they want to talk to me, that's good. And if not, I'll just interject accordingly. But that has real value to them. So once they understand that they'll have a concert, showcase somebody that they like, an artist that they like to their friends, but then they get to hang around. How's your golf game? Let me see pictures of the kids, all that stuff like that. That was the thing that made them want to pay. So right away, I had that, and I had some money, and I could start thinking bigger, right? So the next thing I did was I started a performers forum. And Brandon, my friend, will put the information for that in the chat. I run a performers forum every Monday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And I just started teaching people what I was learning. But in addition to that, I was learning what people knew. So it put me on the front of this. So I'm not saying that you have to start a forum, but I think that you have to be in one every week. You have to come to farm for their things and learn, because the stuff happens so fast. There's so many things that I learned a month ago that are totally extinct now. they don't even matter anymore, right? So it changes all the time. So because I have this forum every Monday, I have money, one thing, then I have a forum on Monday where I'm always on the front end. I'm learning everything before other people know it, and then I decide, does that apply to me? Can I use that or not? So it's just keeping me in front, you know, and then I'm sharing whatever I learn with everybody, so it's helping the community as well. And I bring in guest speakers. So I've had Matt Smith from Passim come and talk about what you would have to do in order to get him to put you in his series at Passim, right? And then I've had a bunch of people. Christine Lavin talked about performing and all that. So every week, this week, if you, I don't know if you know her, but Janice Stanfield is going to be the guest. And Janice Stanfield is like a legend. She has sold songs to, you know, Reba McEntire and all that, and she's a keynote speaker and all that. So she's going to come and talk to us about how she took all her different businesses and how she's transitioning them to the digital era. So what do we have so far? Have your tech together, figure out how to make money, and then educate yourself all the time, right? So let's talk about tech for a minute before I move forward. Here's the thing now. We are the venue now, okay? There's no venues. We are the venue, right? So when what a venue can do for you is help you get the word out. but you're doing all the things that they would have done. You're supplying the tech, you're supplying the musician, of course, and all of that stuff. So now in your press kit, and this is something new that we learned at the thing. I think Jim Fleming's people were doing this, or somebody came up with it first. Um, your your press kit used to say, this is what James Taylor said about how great I was, and this is how many places I played, and all that. I think that means almost nothing now. I mean, I don't think it meant a lot back then, but now it has no value. What has value is I have this kind of microphone, this kind of system. I've done this many shows, and they've gone out without a hitch, and I can come in and to your underneath your umbrella of your venue, and I can do this and you don't have to do anything. I will come in and do it, and all the venues are looking for people who could do that. And here's a window here now where that is a place for us. If you're set up for that, there's work here now, right? So because they all want to do it, but they're all learning how to do it. Pretty soon they'll all know how to do it, and they'll treat you as snobbily as they did in the past. But now they kind of have to listen to you, don't they? Right? So there's this little window here now for you. If you're willing to work 10 hours a day to figure this crap out, so the prize goes to the person who works the hardest, really, which is the way I felt about it at the beginning. I didn't have the most talent, wasn't the best player, wasn't the best singer. I was thinking more about it and working hard, working hard outside of what everyone else was doing. So, really important. Get your tech together, do a bunch of shows, you figure it out, and then before the window closes, which it's going to close, present it, to offer this to people who are looking to fill time. I will give you your first show in your concert series, and you don't have to do anything. So I'm telling you, it works, and there's some money in it, although you need a nap after every day because it's so exhausting. All right. Here I am. I wrote notes because I haven't done this forum before. It's all new. All right, so. All right. The next thing that happened, now I could think bigger, right? So, and this I think is really what I want to talk about. And this is, I'm willing to be talked out of this. Like, looks to me like some pretty veteran. Let me just take a good look at you all here. Looks like people who know what they're doing out here in this world, right? In these little squares. So I'm willing to be talked out of what I'm about to say now. But I'll tell you my concerns, and if you're willing, if you've got a good argument, I will change who I am. My concern, as I started thinking about the big picture of this, right, is a lot of people aren't going to survive this, and the reason I think that is this. In my Facebook feed every day, there's like a picture of a cat doing something stupid, then there's a picture of the president saying something stupid, and then there's a folk singer, and then there's another folk singer, and then there's another folk singer, right? So there they all are every day in my feed. And to be honest with you, to this point now, I have not stayed, I click on them, but I haven't stayed with one of them yet for longer than a song. And I'm thinking, who else is this way? Like, why is this? Why does this feel uncomfortable to me? And I think that, I'm trying to say this gently, I guess. I don't want to, this is just how I'm talking to myself, right? Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. Is that a good idea for me? To just be everywhere all the time for free? Hey, look, I fumbled into Don White. What's this about, right? And it didn't feel right. It felt like it was disrespecting the product. It was minimizing the product a little bit, So I made a list of all the things that I didn't like about what I saw other people doing, right? I know this doesn't make me seem like a nice guy, and I'm not. It's nothing personal about it. But I was just trying to figure it out. Well, am I going to survive this? Or am I going to burn out my audience? Or am I going to be, everyone just see me all the time and, not be good, right? So a lot of what I see is not good. First of all, the guitar is backwards. Like that's not a hard thing to fix, but people don't fix it. Another thing is that there's a lot of this. Like is it working? Joe, is this on? Is this going? I'm just thinking, I want people to pay money to see me. That doesn't seem like something they'd pay for. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about this. The other thing, the thing that I will not do ever, and I know there's arguments for it, is that in the middle of a show, maybe there's 100 people watching, someone will talk to somebody in the chat. And I understand that the person in the chat is so excited that happens, but to me, it just feels disrespectful, And again, you can talk me out of this. I'm just going on my instinct here, but it's not a lot different to me to start have everybody watching just like they are now here, and for me to go, "Hey, Bob, you calling in from California? So glad to see you. What was the song that you wanted to hear? Remember that time we played a gig together out in California in the 70s? Oh, that was great." Well, everybody else is just waiting for you to be done. It's almost like taking a phone call on stage. That's what it feels like to me. It's like, can you imagine being on stage? It's like, wait a second. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Right? Like, to me, it feels like that. So I decided before I would put this out to the bigger world, that I would have my shit together, that I would just try to present a show that was a good show. So the first thing I learned was it's a two-person operation for me. So I hired Brandon, I talked to him, and I've been teaching him what I wanted, and we've been developing this business. So whenever I go to perform now in the public, I have a technician. It's like I'm bringing my own sound person with me. Okay, and he takes care of the chat room, and he takes care of muting and unmuting people. And if there's a problem, like one time we got Zoom bombed, and they were like throwing really colorful obscenities in the chat room, which was so, to me was hilarious. But I think to my sensitive folk audience, it was a little traumatizing. But anyway, he was dealing with that. Dealing with that, and so I can just concentrate on performing. Right, so that was my thing. So once I got it together for that, then I decided I'm going to start performing, doing concerts every Thursday. I'm going to do a concert every Thursday. But here's what I was thinking, and this is what I want you to give me feedback on later, because I'm not sure I'm right about this. But my feeling is two things. I want people to want to be there. So I don't want them to just find me, just stumble on it. I want them to find the link, get the link, hear it from somebody else, come in and want to be there, right? Not just look for a minute, whether you like it, and go past. It just feels better for me, because my goal now that I'm thinking big picture is I don't just want to survive this. I want more fans, right? I want more fans. I want bigger audience. And so this is where the challenges are. I can only get the word out. Like, I'm not just the venue. I'm the publicist. I'm the press secretary. I'm doing it in the paper. I'm doing all that stuff, right? And I can only reach so many people out of my fan base. There's not an unlimited amount of Don White fans, it turns out. So, I see diminishing returns right away if I do that. So what I decided to do, and this is something I would say to all of you, is I decided to take less money, right? So first of all, I don't charge for the concerts. I have a tip jar. And quickly, my argument for that is twofold. One, if you don't have any money, I need you to know that I love you, right? I love you. If you're a waitress and there's no money, you don't have to worry. You just come in, the door's open, you come. When things are better for you, I trust that you'll come to a concert. I'm going to take care of you now. But I want everybody to know that. But if you're in a position to have some money, donate. And people are generous. If they like the show, the money is good. So I trust that. So, right? So there's that thing. So I have what I want is not to burn out my audience, to make them stronger, the ones that come, make them more willing to come and drive in a car whenever that's possible. But I want to grow. How do I grow? Where do I find new people? So instead of just doing the shows on Thursday by myself, I've been collaborating. And this is, I think, a big picture idea. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe it's better just to throw it out to Facebook and just let the whole world see it. But this way, like last night, I did a show for Joyce Sika in Maryland. Now, I don't really know her, but she hired me when I was performing with Christine Lavin, so she knew me a little bit, and she hadn't done any shows, so I went in and did it for her. What I got from her was what I want. I gave her a piece of the money, a percentage, as if I was working at her venue, uh, but she pushed it in her mailing list. So she has a devout mailing group, people who have been with her for decades, and they came. They took a gamble on me. So it doubled my numbers, and a bunch of people came that were seeing me for the first time. And at the end of the show, they were saying, "This is great. I love it. I didn't know anything about you." So I'm thinking it's a little bit less money because I'm sharing it, but I'm getting what I want, which is to expand this audience, right? And so maybe there's not an unlimited amount of venues that are willing to do this for me, but I've also been doing it for food pantries and whatever. Like, so if there's something in your community that you want to raise money for, even if you don't have a big fan base or no venues are talking to you or whatever place you're at, go find something that you love and see if they'll help you get the word out, right? So if they help you get the word out, what you get out of it is you share the money or you give them all the money, whatever you're comfortable with, but they will bring people in, and the newspapers will print it because you're doing something for the community. So that's the way I'm looking at this. I'm looking at it like I don't want to just survive in this. I want to come out of it bigger. And here's the other thing. These venues, a lot of them that I'm working for now, they wouldn't hire me before. I didn't have, and it's just, understandably, I couldn't bring 15 people to their place if it was outside my sphere of influence. But now I'm coming in, I'm teaching their technicians how to do this work. I'm getting them off the ground. I'm letting them see what it looks like so they don't have to do anything. And I'm thinking that, maybe they still won't hire me later, but they'll at least have a chance that it's expanding those relationships. And that I see, again, I'm guessing, I don't know, but that's the way I'm approaching it. I'd love to hear at the end of this a good argument for not doing it this way, to just throw it out to the world for free, and I'm willing, I'm going to do some of that. We're streaming the shows now, so they come on YouTube, on Zoom, and we send them out to YouTube and all that. So I'm doing a little bit of it, but still you have to want to be there. You have to find it. All right. I'm exhausting myself. All right, here we go. The next thing is that I want to talk about two things, two sides of this coin. If you look at it one way, it is really intimidating. And if you look at it another way, it's the most amazing time that we're ever going to see in our lives. And I really want to talk about that. So the intimidating part, and you have to be honest about the math of this. This is a business. I'm in a business, right? I'm trying to not have to go back to a day job, right? So I have to think of this as a business, right? So on the challenges now, it used to be that I was just competing with somebody in my geographical space, somebody who could drive, right, to the concert, like whatever other venues were close to me, right? Now the competition has nothing to do with geography. It has to do with hours of the day. So think about this. The big guys are coming. The big guys are coming. Ricky Lee Jones does something every Sunday. Bruce Springsteen is competing. It used to be if Ricky Lee Jones was in Chicago, that was not a problem to me. But if she's doing a show on Thursday night, that is a problem to me, right? The whole world is competing for 28 hours a week, right? 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, right? Prime time hours, 7 days a week. That is an intimidating thought when you think about it, right? It's enough to make you sit down and have a little thoughtful moment, right? But the idea that the window is open and that you have a little time to create your niche now, right? To create your niche. The same way as it was in the beginning for me, when everybody I felt was further up the food chain. They already knew these venues, all that stuff. I had to find a little pocket, right? So here's the plus side, and I really want to stress this with you. I don't want you to be defeated by the immensity of the way the world is now, not just in this situation, but in the whole thing, right? So here's the thing that I keep thinking about. You are never going to find a time in your life again where you and Bruce Springsteen are having the same problem finding an audience. This is the only time that is ever going to happen. It's never going to happen again. This is it. This is the only time you and Bruce have the same problem now. You know, you have to remember, he's got more money and he's coming. And the analogy I use for this is Blockbuster. Remember there was little video stores on the corner all the time, right? Well, Blockbuster watched what all of us creative people were doing. They came in and ate it all up. That's coming. They're coming, right? So the window is here now. Get your niche. Find your niche now, because they're going to suck all the oxygen out of the room just the way it always is. It's always that way. You know, they're going to do it better. They're going to do it with more money. They're going to, you know, it's going to be that. We have this little window here now where we can. This is a time for creative, hardworking people. That's what I think. It's a time that you're never going to see again. The whole world is flipped upside down. People who had the power don't have it. They'll get it again. But right now, the playing field is level. Right? If you're a creative thinker, if you can think of a new way to do it, and you can make people want it, right? So you're never going to find another time where you have the same problems as famous musicians, and you're never going to find another time where there's more people who got nothing to do. Okay, that's the other thing. Those are two gigantic pluses in this world, right? People are. Whoever thought people would be sick of Netflix, right? Like, Netflix is infinity, right? But it's not. People are sick of it, and so here, before I move on just a little bit, and then we'll open this thing up a little bit. Just want to say a couple of things, and this is something that you can all do too. So, and I'm learning. So I do my Thursday show. I raise money for something. You know, I find a new audience. Sometimes it's 140 people. Sometimes it's as little as 30 people. But always a percentage of them are new, right? And so I fumbled onto this, and now I'm doing it every week. So after the show, we were all hanging around after, and I noticed that Christine Lavin was there, and I asked her to play a song, and she did. And then there was a couple other of my friends. So we had like a virtual song circle after the show, and people started talking about how much they loved that, because it's again. What can you give somebody that they can't get somewhere else, right? Why would they come to my thing and not somebody else's? Because now I have an after party, and I always have a ringer in it. I always call somebody that's famous, and I'm running out of my list of famous people, so there's a limit to this. The famous people that will talk to me, but you know, they're more likely to talk to me now than they were before for some reason. But anyway, I have a ringer in there. Right, so I have a friend of mine open the show, somebody I want to help, and that they might not know, a local person. They do a song, and then I say at the end of the show, we're going to have an after party song circle, and you never know who's going to be there. So John Gorka has popped in. You know, I'm name dropping now, but Jimmy Tingle and Christine Lavin, and you know, all kinds of people, right? And so now people come and they tell each other, don't leave after the show, because you just never know what's going to happen. And it's so cool for them, and cool for me too, because it's like we close the door after the gig in the bar, and we're like in the back. We let the audience stay and hang around and hang around with us. And again, what does a fan want? They really want that. They never get to do that. They never get to hear us talking about being on the road and all that stuff. So there's something that I fumbled into that I recommend to you all very highly. Okay, one last thing now, and that is the performance. So none of this matters if you're not putting on a good show. You do all this work to get new people to it and all of this stuff. The show has to be good. The same principles that applied before apply now. They're different because we're working to a camera, but the same overarching principles apply. You have to give people a good show. You did all this work to get them in there and to coerce them into seeing you, thinking they're supporting a food pantry or something, right? You have to deliver. You have to deliver. And that's where we go back to the beginning here. Like, the fact that I'm funny really helps. The fact that I can be really funny and then use some other skills, poetry skills, reading, storytelling skills to go back and forth so people are laughing and then emotional and I'm impacting them through this thing now. That's the most important thing. So I don't know how to, this, how good is your show, I guess, is the thing. How good is my show? I don't know. I'm trying to make it as good as I can, right? And anytime I don't feel like it's good enough, I ask myself why. How come the people didn't donate that much this time? How come they didn't buy CDs? What did I do last time that I didn't do this time? How can I make it better? What is the song that will do this? What are they not getting from me? So I just think about it that way. So this is a ton of work, but it's a tremendous opportunity. This is the only time this is ever going to be this way. Where you can use your thinking outside the box to create something before the playing field is not level anymore. Right now it's pretty level. Anything you can dream up, you can do. And if it works, then now you're carving your niche out when everybody with the money and the power drinks up all the oxygen in the space. You've got your place carved out here for yourself. Okay? So, I'm not sure I'm right about any of this. I'm still taking the money they're giving me, but I'm not sure I'm right about it. I'm thinking big picture. I'm thinking I want to come out of this bigger than I came into it, and is it possible? And am I doing it the right way? And every day I'm learning. So let's review. Get your tech together. You are the venue. You are the venue. Get it together. Make the number one thing in your EPK, in your press kit, your tech and your ability to deliver a product that the that the venue or whoever you're sponsoring or whoever you're working for doesn't have to do anything. You're just going to come in, one-stop shopping. Here we go. It's all done. That's number one. Where's the money? Where's the money? Do you have fans? Can you understand how to work on Zoom and have it sound good? Go get your money. Get your money so that you can think big. You can't, in my world, you can't think big unless there's money. There's too much pressure from my wife. Where's the money, right? We had a deal. You could do this, but you had to make money. So get that part together. And then collaborate. Take care of your community. It's a mutually beneficial thing. They'll help you get the word out. You'll help them learn how to do this, right? So you have to learn how to do it first, then you're doing that. So you're helping everybody. You're raising the tide for everybody. And then the other thing is find an audience if you can that's outside of your genre. I mean, that's a bigger story. That's a harder thing to do. But think about it. Study some comedy, study storytelling. Bring something into your show that your brother who drives a forklift would like. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of those guys, and they will help you solidify your niche, right? And then the last thing is the show. The show has to be good. So I'm going to do two more things for you. They're going to go by pretty quickly. One is I'm going to talk to you about what I'm learning right now today, where I'm focusing on right now. So this genre, this not genre, this mess that we're confined to now, right, is different. A lot of the things I learned about performing this way so I could reach the person in the back row, not only does it not apply, it's detrimental. Right? We're not playing to the back row. When Christine Lavin did our forum, she said the most amazing thing. She said, your whole audience is in the center seat in the front row. That's how you have to think about it. It's a different animal. It's about playing to a camera. It's about playing to a camera. Okay? So in a minute, I'm going to show you something that I'm reading that you can cut and paste and go read it. It's about basics, basic work, playing to the camera 101, and I'm learning how to do it. For example, here, look at this. If I look at myself here, I'm assuming that it doesn't seem like I'm looking at you. But if I do this, then it does. It should. I'm not sure, but nod your head if this looks like I'm looking in your eyes,
Yeah.
right? So then you have to learn that. That's a different thing. So if I'm trying to deliver a line at the end of a song that I would normally stare at somebody to deliver or look at the audience, I can't do it this way. I have to do it this way. So I'm teaching myself this, right? I'm teaching myself this. The other thing is, in my shows, I unmute as many people as I can get away with so that I can hear laughter. And I'm not sure if any of you will do this, but just so you know, there's a whole thing to learn about that too. Because I throw the joke out there, or the thing that I know gets a laugh. I've been doing it for 20 years, and I don't hear anything. And I think, wow, this group doesn't think this is funny. Then I start talking, and then I hear the laughter, right? Because of the stupid delay in this world, right? Right? So now I'm teaching myself to change my timing. Right? Say the thing that I know is funny, always gets a laugh, and then count 1, 2, 3. If I don't hear a laugh, then I'll start talking. But it takes that long for the laugh to get to me because of what we're working with here, because there's a delay here. So those are just a couple of things. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I think, 3 things that have come up in the forum that I think you should know. And these are practical things. What we talked about here was more big picture stuff, but this is just ways to make money. So I see that Katie Dahl is here. And Katie, I don't know you, but I've been using some of your some things that you do in my workshop and teaching people. So I was looking on your site today and seeing that I couldn't find it, but at one time this woman, a performer from Wisconsin, was offering to her fans this. If you live within 20 miles of my house, or within driving distance, offer me something or pay me something, and I will come and play in your driveway. I just thought that was the most brilliant thing I ever heard. You come out on your porch, and I'll stand in the driveway and play. It was genius. I thought that was genius. So is that available to you? Do you have fans who are isolated and they have a sick person in the house? They don't want to be too close to you. Could you bring a little speaker? Could you stand out in the driveway on the sidewalk and play to them? Why not? Get that money and make your fans know that you care about them. I thought that was just so smart. All right. So, Brandon, could you put up the link to the article that I was talking about, please?
Yep, in the chat.
It's in the chat. Okay. So there's an article. I forget what the what magazine it's in. Here it is. Backstage. 7 need-to-know tips for acting on camera. This is kindergarten. Playing to the camera information, which is what we need. We're not playing to an audience no more. We're playing to a camera, right? And you want to be good at this. If you're good at this, you got a leg up on the other people, right? So you go spend a week figuring this out, and your show is going to be better than other people who are talking in the chat while the rest of the people are waiting for them to do something, right? So the other thing I want to show you, which I just think is fascinating, is Jack Williams. So Jack Williams came to a bunch of the forums, and he had this idea. So let me say it first, and then I'll show it to you. So this is what he did, which was, again, brilliant. He he's got a house in the woods in Arkansas, and he invited 10 of his neighbors, right? So he brought them in. He separated all the chairs in front of this little place where he plays in his backyard. He gave everybody a mask, so they social distanced, and they weren't taking any more risk than they would have if they were going to the supermarket. And then he's got a little stage in his yard, and he put clear plastic up between him and the audience. It was like a spit guard, right? He put a spit guard up, and it's just so brilliant. So he streamed it, but he had an audience to play for. He didn't have to worry about them because he wasn't, when you sing, COVID goes far, right? So he was hitting this plastic with it, and it was just a very creative, thoughtful, outside the box way to do it, to find an audience and to stream it. And so let's just show a minute of it. It's always good to see a little Jack Williams, I think, in this world.
Way back in '59, graduation time. My shoes were superb, my hair was immaculate. I had the perfect date. We just could not wait. She said, if you be cool, I might let you be the first to tackle it.
All right, that's good. So here, yay, Jack Williams. Good job, Jack Williams. Right? But there's an example of thinking out of the box. He just had this idea and he just did it, and it worked for him. I'm sure he made money, and now he was able to stream it and not feel like he was just performing to a screen. That's the problem I have. I am connected to the audience. I have a hard time doing what we're doing here. I wish I could hear you guys. I wish but if I'm sure I said something funny that probably got a laugh here. I wanted to hear it. So this is too, whatever. So that was his thing at doing it. And so one other thing now. We are in a video world, so you have to think about what you're doing like a television. I know this is hard for folk singers. We just want to play with our blue jeans and our flannel shirts on and our beards and just play thoughtful things, right? But the world is different now. This is tough now, and it's about what you see. People have choices. You see this mouse right here? Just hitting that thing like that is all it takes. That finger movement is all it takes for them to say goodbye to you, right? They don't have to get up and leave the building, right? They just have to move one finger, like that, right? So it's important that you figure out how to hold their attention, right? And so that has to do a lot now, unfortunately, with visuals. So I'm just going to show you 40 seconds of something that Janice Stanfield put on her Facebook page, just to show you how people who are thinking ahead of us, who are movers and shakers, how they're presenting their video, their this thing, how they're presenting it. So just show that, Brandon, and then we'll open this up.
Hi, it's Janice Stanfield with my first of 30 videos in 30 days with Gina Carr's Rock Stars and her 30-day video challenge. I am doing this with the help of my students from Refugee Film School. Did you notice my really cool open made by Abdul Rahman of Refugee Film School? And we've got lots more ways that we can do that, just in case you're doing some sort of video challenge or you have videos that need an opening or a close with your name on it. Plus, you can use these things behind you on your Zoom calls. So here are some more examples. Let me know in the chat if you'd like one, and I'll tell you how you can get it.
Okay, so there's a lot. We could go into all kinds of things here, but I just wanted to sort of show you that because probably no one, hardly anyone's going to do that. But Christine Lavin loved that. Her and Jana are talking already, and it doesn't have to be a video that you're presenting. It could be the way that you open your Zoom show or whatever. It could be have some graphics. Do you have a film school near you? We had a storyteller who presented something to a library that she had her local cable company help her with. right? Local cable people are obliged to help the community. Do you have an idea? Do you need some graphics in what you're doing? Do you want to make it look better than other people's? Do you want a leg up? You know, if you can get one. You know, again, this is kind of foreign to us. We're singer songwriters. You know, let me come in and plug in and play and all that. But if you're not against it, there is something to think about. So I'm gonna give this back to Annie for a minute, and then we'll have some questions, I guess. So thank you.
Yay. Okay, everybody, wiggle your fingers. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Don. Hopefully, we're not done with you just yet. I see a hand raised, and I'm going to take a few seconds to just remind those of you who maybe got in late before we showed you, if you're not sure how to raise your hand, because we can't actually see everybody on the screen because there's too many of you, which is awesome. In the lower left corner of the participant window, there's a hand, little blue hand. And if you don't know how to get to the participant window, you will find that by clicking in the lower portion of your screen where it says participants. If you're on a phone, it's on the bottom. If you're on an iPad, it's in the upper right, I think. I've looked at these things a couple of different ways just to be sure. But you can use the raise hand function if you're shy and you don't want to say anything out loud. Go ahead and type it in the chat. But we're getting comments right now. That was great. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Thanks, Don. You guys are so creative. But I will take this opportunity to say Brandon, who is manning a lot of the background, is going to be doing a tech talk on Zoom. You want to spotlight yourself for a second, buddy? He did better than me. Look at him. He's got the Farm Virtual Connections logo in the background. I'm like, oh, great.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
This is Brandon. He's going to be doing our Tech Talk next Tuesday. So if you want to know about all this stuff and how he does it, please join us for that. You can find it on the website. And while I've got him distracted, I'm going to let somebody who's in the Central Time Zone late in. So we apologize. These are all Eastern Time Zone. And let's see, Katie Dahl was mentioned. So I'm just going to bring up the fact that we are working with Katie and Ann Heaton and a couple other folks to do a workshop on getting creative and connecting with your audience that way. So Don, thanks for bringing up Katie. And Katie, thanks for being here. All right, I see some blue hands. So let's start with the first one that shot up. Mr. Jewel Ulvin. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself now, my friend. There you go. Hey. Oh, can't hear you.
You might have the wrong microphone selected. The mute microphone in the bottom left corner. Hit the little triangle button right next to it, and then that's where you select what microphone. So it might have a wrong one chosen for you. Still can't hear you, buddy. Next one. All right, we'll come back to you. I'll try and help you fix this in the chat, okay?
Cool. Susie Vinnick. There she is. Hi, honey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
You're a little quiet. But...
Oh, I'm a little quiet. Okay. I will talk closer to the microphone. It's just a real quick question, Brant, for Dawn. I just was curious, when you do like a collaboration with a venue or a fundraiser, what percentage do you donate? I know sometimes you said you donate it all, but I wondered if there's sort of a general percentage.
Well, I hardly ever donate all. I think I said that was a possibility for you.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you'd said that.
I can't. You know, I'm.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good question. It's a great question, actually. So, here's what I do. If it depends. If it's a food pantry or something like that, then I'll give them half the money. You know, just because I can't not do that. You know, that's the best I can do, and I would do that for them. But for everybody else, I try to vet them. You know, and what I mean by that is, how hard are they willing to do what I want? how big is their mailing list? How, are they doing this every week? Have they burned out their audience? Or is this going to be a special thing for them? Is it going to be the first one, or do they have a wide reach? If they do, then I'll give them a good percentage. Like I'll give them 40% or 50 if they're like for Passim or the Arc. I'm going to play for both of those guys. I know that they're going to bring lots of new people in. If I'm nervous about it, or if I'm doing everything, then maybe I'll give them 30% or something like that. But I want it to be a collaboration, and I want them to feel okay about it. But I'm stressing with them that I want something from them. I want them to make sure that everybody who knows and loves them knows that they should come to this thing. So I kind of judge it accordingly. Is that a good answer for you?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. You're welcome.
Thanks, Susie.
I think.
I-
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
is he ready?
I think so. Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yay. I'm on a computer I never use for Zoom. So I thought this was really an excellent session. I come at it from a presenter's angle, and I thought it was very good. The question I have, and you've given some good thought to how this thing is unwinding. I've been talking to a lot of my friends, performers and presenters, and I think we're feeling like no matter how the opening goes, it's never going back to what it was before. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do.
I think it.
Go ahead. I mean.
That's pretty much what I was going to ask. I mean, I think you've thought about this a lot more than your average bear, and I'd be interested in what you have to say.
Right. I think myself into exhaustion every day, but let me say this. And like my dad was a gambler, a card player, and a bartender. And he taught me many things that I shouldn't know. But one of the good things I should know that he taught me was when you make a decision, try to keep two things out of the decision making. One is your emotions, and the other one is what you wish would happen. Okay? So when I look at this, I know what I wish would happen. I wish tomorrow I could go and start touring again. I mean, but there's nothing like it, right? But I take that out, and I take the emotion out, how I feel about it, and I just look at the math of it. So in my world, my wife has breathing problems. We're in our 60s. All of us, both of us could lose 40 pounds. So COVID-19 is outside the window thinking that there's a free buffet in here, really. We are, candidates for death here, right? Right? And then also I have an uncle that my son takes care of, who he bathes and all of that, who's been in a wheelchair since the 70s. And he is immune deficient. So he wouldn't live an hour with COVID-19. So if I'm representative of people in the world, right, where somewhere in my world is somebody that I could bring this thing into and kill, right? How long is it going to be before I'm going to be comfortable sitting in a room with people coughing around me? I just think it's going to be a long time. I could be wrong, whatever, There's going to be a convention in Oklahoma. Let's see what that looks like. I don't know, But, so I think that until there's a vaccine or something like that, it may come back a little, but it's going to be hard. And I hate to say that because venues are going to go under. People are going to lose their livelihood. But just taking my heart out of it and what I wish out of it, just looking at it like a calculation, like math, that's what it looks like to me. When do I want to be on an airplane again, really? Like knowing that my wife has bronchitis and that I could, I don't know. So that's what I think. So I will say this, though, and I'll say this to all the musicians. This skill set that we're learning is not going to end. It's not going to be It's still going to be useful after this is over, and I'm sure of that because 3 months ago, if you asked me to do a Zoom concert, I would say I don't know what that is, and then after that, I would say no, I'm not going to do that, right? Uh, I'll come to your house. I'll come do it. But now, everybody, when this is over, everybody's going to know this is going to be second nature to them. Grandmothers, 90 years old, this is how they're communicating with their grandchildren. So when this is done and you don't want to fly anymore, you could say, look, I'm not going to California anymore, but I'm going to do a concert for people in California on Zoom. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, I've been doing that for 2 years. So the skill set is valuable permanently, which is the one bright thing to it. But yeah, my feeling is, I hope I'm wrong about that, but I think it's going to be a little while. And thank you for the question, sir. Louise.
Okay, Louise. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi, Louise.
Buddy.
How are you?
Out of my porch here in Asheville. This is great, and I've been doing a lot of collaborating as well, and I think that's so important. And I've also been sending out a newsletter from my booking agency and trying to get the feel from where are we going in terms of ticketing. And my newsletter goes out to about 500, here comes my cat, 500 presenters and festival bookers and all. And I would guess maybe there's 10 to 15% of people that are doing ticketed shows now. They feel that it's easier to track who's coming in and the perceived value of what they're coming to see. Most of the artists I represent, we're still just doing tip jars and donations, similar to what that you've been doing. So I know you said you're against that, only the tip jar. Do you see that changing, or how do you feel about that?
Well, everything changes. Anything that I said today, I could feel differently about tomorrow, and that's one of the infuriating parts of this. You can't get too used to the way it is because time is just condensed. Everything is faster. Everything. I don't promote a show till 4 days before the show because it's like telling somebody, if you tell somebody 3 weeks ahead of time that there's going to be a good television program on channel 4 weeks from now, that it's similar to that. It's not like you have to buy a ticket, rent a car, go get a car, take the day off and all that. It's a different dynamic. Traditional media still applies, but people sometimes will decide to come to a show. They came out of work and they see something I sent them that day. That it's more like that, right? Mm-hmm. So as far as your other question goes, I would like to know how the people who are ticketing, how they're doing. How is it working? Is it better? Do they see an improvement? And it probably depends on the artist. Like if the artist is a big name artist, then I guess people will ticket to do it. But I'd like to know that. I don't know the answer to it. I don't know.
I think it's what I've seen so far, because I've only seen a few, and there's a couple I'm going to participate in this weekend, but I think it's not just the artist, it's the venue. If the venue has that real solid following, dedicated folks, they might pay a ticket for just about anything to help the venue and the performer. And I think the ticket prices are, certainly less than they were for live shows. So I don't know yet.
my thought about that, this is just a concern, is I wonder if over time that's a diminishing return. Like if you're counting on the people who love the venue to come 3 nights a week to your venue because they love the venue and pay, you'd have time will tell on that, right? If I was running a venue, I would think about something in between, a suggested donation maybe, or I really don't know though. I don't know the answer to it. It's too much in flux right now. Do you agree with that? That it is really in flux?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that like something like farm or like a organization like that might be able to say like we did something. I did something for Annie for her on the tracks thing, and they had charged for it or suggested a certain amount. It was a workshop. You know, I think that's a little different. If people are coming to learn, they probably would be more comfortable paying. But I honestly don't know. There's more that I don't know than I do know. Believe me when I tell you. All right, so
Thanks, Don.
let me. I just want to poke around here a little bit here, so I can see you all. I want to see, even though they don't want to talk to me, who do I want to talk to? David Roth, unmute yourself. Let me talk to you. How's things on Cape Cod? Can he unmute himself? Yeah, there you go.
Well,
Let me know.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine, thanks. We call ourselves the 2%ers here on the Cape. We're not the 1%ers, but basically our whole lives we've had everything we needed: shelter, food, hot, cold water, clothing, all that. So we feel very, very lucky in the face of all this, and we're doing fine.
I'm glad to hear it in your family as well. Your wife, everybody's good, right?
Yep, sure are.
So are you? What are you doing? I see that you're online a little bit, right?
I tried 3 Facebook Live concerts at the get-go, and I tried to space them out 2 or 3 weeks. And I saw that, the first one I had like 500 people watching. The second one I had 700 people watching, and the third one I had probably 400 people watching. I didn't make a big push for donations, but they came in, and like you said, they were extremely generous. I saw the numbers go down a little bit each time. So then it occurred to me that doing this less frequently was probably advisable. And I think you addressed that in your wonderful presentation today, about not just being there all the time, oh, him again, that kind of thing. So I'm kind of down to trying a new model, which is a song of the month, or I'd started off trying to make it a song of the week, but I just couldn't keep up with it. I don't know how I got so busy in this time of isolation. But a song of the month where I can make a good little video right here in front of my computer with my interface, good condenser mic, good sound, all that kind of stuff, a light in front of me shining in my direction instead of behind me. A common mistake I've seen a lot of people make, which I did too, not having yourself illuminated and looking really dark in your picture. And when I do a song of the month, I can make a little, I use a Mac, so I make a little photo booth video of it. And when I've done a few takes and I get one that I feel satisfied with, then I can post that on my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and I use my email list, which is about several thousand people, and I make a monthly announcement to them that at their leisure they can go watch me for 5 minutes do my song of the month, and there's a way to donate. I don't push that big time, but our people are generous. So
David, I mean, I've known you, a little bit for quite a long time now. There's a lot of love for you in this world. I mean, the people that like what you do love you. I would suggest strongly to you that you consider private shows with your fan base.
I've started doing that. I've got 2 on Sunday night, 2 little house concerts for my fans. Been brainstorming with some of my contemporaries as well about that, and I put that out in my email list too, saying if you have a corporate meeting or some kind of gathering where some live music might enhance, please contact me privately. And I'm doing some conferences that way too, where I interject a song in between the keynotes, or I do a little half-hour mini concert between the people who are speaking. So I wouldn't say that's a fire hose flow just yet, but it's a trickle. And I do like to open people's mind to the possibility of what else can be done, where live musicians can add something that had not been added by live musicians before.
Let me just say this one more thing here, is that one of the things I'm coming across with Zoom private shows is that people have to realize that it's not like the stupid meeting that they're in every day, right? So they'll have a point of reference, like, really, I'm going to go to another Zoom meeting like the one I was with at my office all day long. So Brandon and I are working on a little video where let's do something. So everybody to do what I'm saying. Say, all the people in the little squares, wave your arms like you just don't care. Come on, do it. All the people in the little squares, sway the arms like you just don't care. All right, so I will do that at my shows, and we have video of it so people can see that it's fun. I'll tell them after, you have just been at the worst rap concert in the history of the world. Yay, congratulations, right? So I would say that that's an obstacle that I'm trying to overcome now, and that is that people need to see that they have they have something in their mind about it being something that you have to endure, and that it can be fun. So I would just put that in your mind going forward. All
Joel,
right.
did you put your hand up again? You did? Okay, cool. He's got something else.
All right.
Sorry, we're gonna come back to.
Yeah, one of the things you were talking about for the interactive stuff, and getting away from the latency problem. We've done song circles for 45 and a half years every Wednesday night, and one of the guys that works with us on that, Dave Orleans, had moved to Portland and has been coming back for Zoom, and we get a lot of people, coming in, old alums and friends. But one of the things that he did that I found extremely creative was he does a song called "Toads on the Road" that he wrote, and to allow everyone to participate, he had people doing rounds of swamp songs in the back, swamp sounds in the background. So he had the bullfrogs going ribbit, ribbit on a rotating, and other tree frog sounds and things like that. So everybody was participating, and latency wasn't a problem. It was just the background sound for the song he was doing.
Clever.
What a brilliant idea. Have the audience make animal noises while
Yeah.
you're singing.
Oh.
Sorry.
I know.
Brilliant. Genius.
Cool. Did you see we have another hand that popped up? Pop Wagner.
Hi.
There, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I heard at some point that one can do a show on Zoom platform, and at the same time stream it live to YouTube and Facebook. Is that correct? Or
That
do you
is
have to do
correct.
that later?
Nope, that's correct. And we do that now. It took us a while to figure it out. It's hinky, but now we do that. And that's where we're at now. So I'm spreading the YouTube thing far and wide to try to get as many people over there as possible, and then I'm keeping the interactive Zoom thing for my VIP people who want to come in and flirt with me and hang around. So that's, it may change later. But yes, you can stream a Zoom concert to Facebook or YouTube. You need somebody technical to teach you how to do it. It's infuriating, all what you have to do it. But it works.
Brandon.
But
Yeah.
Yes.
And one other a follow-up on that.
yeah.
Is your Zoom, the Zoom you're using, I'm sure, I take it is not the free Zoom, but it's an upgraded one, is that right?
Yeah, so for $15 a month, you get to have unlimited meetings, and you can put 100 people in it. I actually pay more. You got to watch this too. If you go to do this, talk to me first, because it looks like it's going to cost more than this when you look at their website. But for $50 more a month, you can get up to 500 people into a meeting. So I'm going to do some shows for Passim and the Ark, and I'm going to keep this platform that I have with the 500 in case we get over 100, which we've done a few times, and with their mailing list and all that, it may be up there. So yes, but I think for most people, especially if you're streaming as well, you can for $15 a month you can have as much time as you want in your meeting, and you can put 100 people in it.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, Jewel just posted into the chat that Zoom has a deal until the 15th for $108 a year. So it'll be interesting to look that up and see what they're offering for that.
Yeah, I will look
And
at
looks
that.
like-
You're gouging me.
Yeah. And Eve Goldberg just posted the option to stream to YouTube and Facebook as part of the regular paid subscription, in case that's a question. And yeah, and thank you, because Brandon will be talking about this. We'll be going over all of this. This gives me a chance to remind you about the Tuesday Tech Talk next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For anybody in Chicago or West, that would be 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we'll have Brandon there. So we are at about 3:24, and I don't know about you guys, but I can sit and listen to Don opine for another hour or so. But does anybody else have any more questions that they would like to throw at this man? Or Don, you want to?
Do I want to wrap it up? Let's wrap it up.
Well, you can keep chatting with as many people as want to stick around.
I'm sick of the sound of my own voice already. I just want to say this. Let me sum this up to everybody. What we do matters. It means something. It's a noble endeavor. And it's never been more noble than it is now. What is it that we do? We take people away from their trouble for an hour and a half. We give them something to think about. Maybe they'll see the world differently. But mostly we give them a break from their problems. And never has that been more important than this moment that we're in right now. I mean, the weight of this moment is something everybody is feeling. And so I would say to you, you're doing noble work, and if you can get good at it this way here, you're going to have a platform for the next year or so, and it's never going to be more important than it is now. I don't think, there's a lot. You give up a lot to do this. You're on the road a lot. There's not a ton of money in it, but it's important. People need it, and we should fight to keep it and to remain relevant. I want to say that to you. I don't want to be preachy or pontificate or whatever, but I mean this. It's overwhelming what's happening, but who you are when things are hard is who you are. Right? So who are you? Are you gonna fight hard to do good in the world? Then now's the time to do it. So I'll have Brandon put my email in the chat. It's donwhitefolk@gmail.com. Reach out to me if you want to be at the forum or you want to come to any of the concerts. You just have to know the link. I'm happy to help out if anybody wants. I'm doing one-on-one stuff with people when they want to know about comedy and other things. I got nothing to do. I'm busy every day, 12 hours a day, but I'm busy right here where I am right now, sitting on my behind, looking at my stomach with its COVID-19 pounds on it. So so I hope this was helpful and useful to you, and I hope to see you all in person down the road somewhere. Thanks for being nice to me, and for thanks to Annie and Brandon and everybody for doing this. Good luck to you, and stay in touch. You know how to find me.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry, Don. Go ahead.
All right. Unmute them so I can hear.
Everybody get unmuted. And Don, thank goodness for Brandon. I'm hiring him. Barbara's going to hire him, 'cause I don't know what I would do without him.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You know how this
Yay.
goes, right? We have a big fat wave. Everybody wave. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much to Don for your time today. It's great to see everybody. And then this is going to be this abrupt, awful farewell. Your screen is going to go blank. So have a great weekend, everybody. And we'll see you again soon. Thank you.